Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Common Ground. I'm Chris, that's Josh, and we're trying to bring you some current news of the day from my perspective as a Republican, Josh's perspective as a Democrat, and we're going to see if we can find anything to agree on and see what we disagree on and on the topics that we selected, and we're just going to jump right into that. So, anybody that's been watching, this I believe is our seventh episode now. So, Josh, I guess we're going to be doing Trump again, right? Is that the topic of the day? I don't
Yeah,
see a way around it again.
unfortunately, man, and me and Chris talked about this, and we're both just sick of the same stuff on the news. There are tons of stuff going
Yeah.
on, but apparently this is just going to be the major headline. So it's of course the Trump indictment and what went down this week. We brought you, the last week we talked about it also, and just kind of the upcoming charges. This week it happened, and everything's in place. So yeah, we honestly don't have much to add.
No,
Nothing new has happened
I
since,
don't
and
have much to add. I'm in a cranky mood as it is, so this ain't helping. Just the overall general dysfunction of life and the government, which affects our life. But all I got to say about this is we got the charges. There's 34 of them. This is going to be an ongoing discussion, probably up until the election. I do think today would be a good time to give our uh, Nostradamus perspective and see what you think's going to come out of this, what I think's going to come out of it, and we'll see if either one of us is right. But before we do that, kind of give our prophecy. I just want to say that I'm not on board with any of this. I think it's political prosecution. I think it's. I do agree with my side with the terms they use in terms of election interference. I think this is completely going to interfere with our upcoming elections because this is going to go on and on and on through the entire process. Because we've also got some other looming things in Georgia. I believe we still got the classified documents going on, don't we, with Trump? So we got several things that are going to be going on here. All I got to say about this is I'm sick of it. I just let's get to the trial. If he's convicted, fine. If he's not, fine, and let's move on. But the political theater to me is pretty much what this is all about, and that's just where I stand with this. I'm exhausted of it. I'm going to stay exhausted of it. And that's really all I got to say in terms of facts and figures. Unless you want to go into something, I'll certainly debate you on that. And don't forget, I'm in a
yeah,
foul mood today, so watch it, Democrat.
yeah, bro. No, it's and like I said, we're tired of it. There is going to be plenty. I've said my points before, but this is the least of his cases. This is it's felonies. There are 34 of them. But in the grand scheme of things, this really is just the tip of the iceberg with him. So he will be there will be nothing but Trump news until the next election. This particular case, and I know it's going to be dragged on. But I just want to point out that it's not due to the fault or the want of the Manhattan DA. So Trump has the right to declare for a speedy trial. His lawyers fully know this. If I know this, I'm not a lawyer. He can get a trial within 30, 60 days, knock this out and get it out the way. He will delay this until the last possible moment. He's been known to do this. Every single civil suit that he's ever been, every single anytime he's ever in court, it's just his
Yeah,
strategy. It's
and
going to be delay, delay,
let me
delay.
say this. I if that's the case, because we're already up to what going into December for the next trial date, which will be the motions and
Next
stuff like
hearing,
that.
yes.
So we got that, and then I'm
Yep.
hearing rumblings from his attorney, Joe Tacopina. I don't even know how to say his name, but anyway, it's not important to me his name. But if that's what we're doing, is we're delaying this on the right on his behalf, I think we need to get this going quickly. I don't think it needs to be drug on by either side. It doesn't seem
I
to me to
honestly, I
be
think it
that
would benefit
massive
him.
of a lawsuit or a trial that we got to drag this on for a year and a half. It's extremely freaking irritating to me.
Yeah, for sure. And it's I would argue that it would benefit him to just get this out the way. It's like you said, it's not major. You can hear the felonies. They're Class E felonies, which are basically the most minor felonies that you can be charged with. Um, eh, I'm sure that he's got plenty of competent lawyers, or he's got a team of lawyers. Not sure of the competency of them, but they should be able to bring this to a resolution and just kind of move on. This is the least of his problems right now currently. I definitely believe that the Georgia one is probably his biggest headache right now, but he also has the other two upcoming grand juries, which are for the documents cases in Mar-a-Lago and the January 6th, which are both being handled by Jack Smith. So, in my opinion, I'd want to get this one out the way. This is dumb. I mean, I think both sides can agree. And it's not dumb in the grand scheme of things because, like I was explaining to Chris, if I were running a business in New York, and I were to falsify documents, my name isn't Trump, and more than likely, if I were caught, I would be prosecuted for it. It's just, it's a thing about running businesses, and anybody that knows, go ahead and file a false form to the IRS. I'm dealing with the IRS now. I was running a small business these past previous few years, but it's one of the important things. It's just you cannot, if your business made one thing, or if you're claiming this expense, you're not allowed to claim that as something else. So it's in the grand scheme of things, it's minor. But I'm of the belief that, I mean, it doesn't matter if you broke a crime, if you broke a law, you broke a law. Especially when you're
I'm
in
just of the
charge, you're
mindset.
at the executive branch.
It's going to be really hard for anyone, including you, to shake me of the idea that this is all politics. This is politics at its best. The statute of limitations. The fact that it was a personal civil suit that was pretty much settled. We're going to go way deep into the weeds. I do agree with you on the fact that if there's real laws and real stuff broken, then hold people accountable. I don't see that that's the motive here, and I'm not going to see that that's the motive. This is theater, and it's going to run us right into the election. That's all I'm going to believe. However, let's just let the system play out. Let the process do its thing. Let the justice system work, even though I believe it's not necessarily on the up and up. And we'll get to the trial. Have the trial, and he'll either be guilty or he won't. So that being said, I'm done with this conversation. With the exclusion, what do you think? And this is just a fun part, I think. What do you think is going to come out of this? And then I'll tell you what I think is going to come out of it. I mean, obviously, it's all our opinion, but.
Right. Just one thing to counter, because and it's gonna be the talking point. It's gonna be the talking point for all of them. They're always gonna claim, or the Republicans are always gonna claim, oh, this is political. This is political. He's facing in 4 separate jurisdictions, different legal matters in 4 separate cases. This case in particular, it's not Alvin Bragg that brings you to charge. It's the grand jury that was meeting for a long time. There were several months at this, tons of meetings. So it's 20 some odd people in New York that voted to convict. Now you can take that, oh, well, it's New York. They're a liberal, liberal city. There's going to be a ton of Democrats. Fine. But we also have Atlanta coming up, and you can make that same argument. You also have DC coming up. So in my point of, like, Republicans aren't really gonna be on board with this unless he's charged in I don't know, smallest town in Texas possible, all Republican led grand jury, and that's the only way that it'll be satisfied. I mean, it's just a no-win situation. That the Democrats are. If you don't charge him, I think you're abdicating. You're not doing your duty. If you do charge him, you're going to get accused of this political theater. So
I think typically the Democrats are looking to create a circus, and both sides are good at that. But I think the Democrats are better at it, and they didn't get the circus they wanted.
I think Hillary Clinton would argue against that point. But
well, she's one of the lead circus clowns. So
I've lost track of the Benghazi hearings, but yeah.
Well, that being said, they didn't get the circus they wanted. I'm sorry that your side didn't get the handcuffs and the mugshot and all that stuff. I truly sorry about all that. But uh, moving forward from all that, I hold the Democrats more responsible for the political theater than I do the Republicans. Even though I would like to say, I saw Marjorie Taylor Greene made her appearance the day of the arraignment. And all I want to say about that is she's one of the bigger names that we hear about all the time because she is a firebrand. I'm cool with everyone saying what they want to say. I'm cool with everybody having their freedom of speech. However, under the conditions that we operate in this country, on both sides, she doesn't have anything to be doing in Georgia where she represents, and she's just up here, having her moment in the sun in New York. I don't know. I don't know how she got there. I don't know if she flew. I don't know if we paid for her to come there on our tax dollar. I don't know. But my question to everyone would be, doesn't she have other things to be doing than that? It was a small process for the most part. He came from Florida. He showed up for the arraignment. He got arraigned. Everything happened. And an hour or so later, whatever it was, he went back to Mar-a-Lago. I don't see the necessity of her being there. I do see it firing up a problem. And I don't understand why she was really there. That's all I got to say about that. And I hope that we didn't, as taxpayers, pay for her trip up there.
Yeah. I mean, same thing. Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's one of the ones that's always. She's just an extremist because they exist on both sides. But yeah. Everybody should know how I feel about her. I don't even believe she belongs in Congress. It's what they did to those folks down in Tennessee. I mean, it should set an example. But Marjorie Taylor, she should be the first one to be kicked out of Congress there. And it doesn't belong in a conversation. And you're an elected official. You should be held to a higher standard. And that goes in with anybody. I don't care if it was AOC or Bernie Sanders that did it. You're an elected official, and you should be held to a higher standard. So,
I just think there's other things to do than that. And I'm all for protesting. I truly am. I was for it on January 6th. You know that. You and I've had disagreements about that. But this, to me, doesn't need to be turned into a bigger circus than it already is. Period.
Yeah.
Let's get on with this, and there's going to be a period now where we're gonna suffer through all this. We're going to pay for it, and not for nothing, but the poor people in Manhattan. I'm sure that a lot of the security that goes on, and a lot of the barricading, and a lot of the law enforcement that have to be called up 24/7 for these Trump events are probably going to cost them poor people money on a state level, maybe not a federal level, but in the end, all this theater costs us money.
Yep.
And I wish
people
would
for sure.
at least agree. I wish we could, as Americans, at least agree on the fact that a lot of this is wasted money. And it's wasted on so many levels. From talking to me now for several months, it's one of my biggest pet peeves that goes on in this country. My head could explode thinking about the money we waste on federal and stuff like this. And the people in New York and Manhattan are going to pay for this one.
Yeah. So you were asking me about, how I think that this trial is going to go and where that direction that I think it's heading. It's one of the minor cases. If it was a normal case, if this was a normal business and it was Joe Schmo from Manhattan, it would have been pleaded out by now. I don't believe any normal lawyer
by the way,
would go
I got
through.
my coffee cup with the snake on it just for you.
That's
I told you I was
I'm
in
a
a
strong
sour mood
supporter.
today.
I'm a strong supporter of the Second Amendment and everything. I despise that flag.
I
Anything
just
to
want you to
do
see how kind of
with
a
that.
mood I'm actually in today. Can you see that good?
Yeah. I see it. Don't tread on me.
All right.
Yeah,
So
man.
go ahead.
And
So moving forward, what's your analysis of what the potential outcome of this particular case?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, a normal average person would have pleaded out. Right? They wouldn't have even made it to this phase. They would have chosen, one or two business falsification charges, and more than likely probation before judgment. Maybe 6 months, a year of probation, whatever. Knowing Trump, he's going to take this to trial. He's going to want to plead, or he's gonna make his case that he's not guilty. He's gonna take that
But
to
he
the grave.
should.
And
If he
there's
doesn't think he's
no
guilty, he should.
I mean, you could think that, but also, I mean, the facts are facts. If you wrote a check and you did not list what that check was for, not saying that this is the case, but this is what they're charging them with. If you write a check for $500 for lawn services, and I actually used that $500 to go to Key West, Florida, I am guilty of falsification of business records in Manhattan. Dead stop. There's no more argument to it. You are guilty of that crime. Trump can argue he's not guilty. He can. I don't know what exactly his defenses are going to be, but it's clear cut. If it's either he broke the law or he didn't, and we're going to fall into two camps here in America. Where do you believe that we should enforce that law? Do you believe the law is dumb? Which, in case I bring you, then the laws have to be changed.
The way it's
If we're no
stated
longer
to me,
prosecuting falsification of business records, then I want that applied to every small mom and pop shop right now that's out there doing lawn service, or out
and
there
apply
you're a
that
plumbing
to.
company or an electric company. You should be
But are we going
allowed
to
to
apply
also
that
falsify bit.
Are we going to apply that to
Oh,
the
across the
Democrats
board.
that do the same shit?
Across every person in America, all 370 million of us should be allowed to then go ahead and falsify business records and see how this turns out. Because I don't think that the majority of people would be happy knowing that, the local electric company is writing off checks for
Yeah, but
$3,000
I don't think that
to
the
take
majority
their
of
family on vacation, and they're telling the IRS that it was for a new piece of equipment for the business or
I
something like
don't
that.
think the
So
majority of people think that Hunter Biden and Hillary Clinton should and Joe Biden, for that matter, should go off, without indictments of their own. But again, that's another
if you
topic for
can
another day.
if you can prove a crime, there's no reason why somebody would not have
You
indictment.
know,
Especially
I
Hillary
think at
Clinton,
some
as
point
much as the Republicans went on it.
I think it's going to come up. I think it's already happening. James Comer, and I believe Congressman from Kentucky, there was an article out that people are coming to him. How do we go after them? That being said, go after them. I agree.
Is that
However,
smart?
this is the dangerous path that we're heading down in this country, and I hold the Democrats responsible for this. And
No, you
it keeps
can't
us
though. It's
perpetually divided
it was
because the Democrats want a circus and they want to interfere with the election. It's as simple as that to me.
And I'm going to point out again that it wasn't a Democrat that gave him these charges. It was a grand jury. Now, it's not Alvin Bragg. The grand jury, a person of your peers, a jury of your peers, handed down this. So now you may argue, oh, well, they're not Donald Trump's peers. Who would you be happy with in that grand jury? Like I said, the only way Republicans would be happy is if this was held in, some little podunk town in Mississippi that had nothing but MAGA wearing hat Republicans in the jury. Then they would be okay. But that's not the way justice works in this country. That's never been the way that justice works in this country. You don't get to pick and choose who the grand juries are. A grand jury decided this. I mean, I believe we should respect the process of the grand jury. And I will point out, before this grand jury came back with this indictment, Donald Trump was actually praising this grand jury in Manhattan, because he believed that they would come back with no indictment. He thought that in his head so much that he said, I praise this grand jury, and I also praise the grand jury process. So the
Well, maybe he was
man
trying to butter him
that
up.
is now raging against it, just a week ago, and you guys don't take my word for it. Look it up. Look up what Donald Trump said last week about grand juries, and it was a whole complete 180. Now, of course, they're crooked, they're Democrats, they're all this. It wasn't that way a week ago.
Well,
So,
in the end, we this is one of the ones we disagree on the most. We had some severe
oh yeah,
disagreements with January 6th. But
yeah.
for everyone that's not tuned in before and anyone that's tuning back in, this is our show and this is what we do. We're going to have these heated conversations and other ones aren't going to be. This one here is
Yeah.
a little more heated because I have my beliefs. I think going for, and Josh has his, and we respect each other for that. I don't want to change him. I'm not going to change him. I'm not going to try to change him, nor is he me. But we can do this as Americans. We can have disagreements and not tear this country right up the middle. And I don't
Yeah.
hold the American people with disagreements like Josh and I responsible for that. I hold the politicians on different sides of the aisle responsible for that. They seed the division. The media backs them up and seeds and waters the division even farther. And it's extremely annoying to me because as people can see, you and I can have a disagreement and we can agree on things. And we can do it respectfully. And at the end of the day, shake hands and go on with our lives. We work together and we're going to go back to work on Sunday. And we're going to get along just fine. And our conversations don't turn deadly. And they don't cost
Right.
anybody any money.
Right.
So,
And we don't, I'm not advocating for, Republicans should split off or Democrats should split off. No, these are conversations that you should be having with your neighbor, your coworkers, anybody, and just see where everybody's coming from. I talk to Chris every day, so it's a little bit different, and I know, where he's coming from and why he's the way, why he thinks the way he thinks. And I respect that. And that, like he said, I'm not trying to change him or anything. But the reason we started the show was to show that, we should have these conversations. We can have them. They can be civil, and we could turn around and be the best coworkers on Sunday again. So no love lost between us. We will disagree on this topic. Well, you'll never see Chris on here advocating, or certainly congratulating Alvin Bragg.
Wait, I'm going to continue to try to educate him, folks. Don't worry. For everybody out there that's on my side of the fence here, I'm going to do the best I can. He's like a science project that I can't figure out.
He tries, it's for sure. Yeah,
but
I'm his side project there at work.
Everyone can see that we can have a good time doing this. And we're all going to be frustrated for different reasons. But I think the real frustration doesn't come from a Democrat and a Republican down at our level. I mean, we know that there are people that are going to really butt heads down here at the common folk level where we are. But ultimately, I think a lot of the divide comes from our political leaders and our media. Because we're on a 24-hour cycle now. All that being said, Josh, there's something I want to bring to everyone's attention. Aside from all, and we went longer with this than we should have. I didn't want to talk for more than 4 minutes about Trump. I'm tired of all of it. But an important part before we wrap this up, I think, and I'm curious to hear what you have to say, is there are other things going on in this country and geopolitically around this world that no one's paying attention to that, guess what, does affect you and I and every other American taxpayer in this country, and even if you're not paying taxes. And there are things that we need to be paying attention to that this is clouding up a lot of real other news. I'm tired of Trump. It's dry. Nobody wants to talk about it. But while we're doing that, we're not talking about things that are going on with Russia, with China, the Saudis cutting 1 million barrels of oil a day. Guess what that does? So what are your feelings on let's talk about Trump a little bit, but there is so much more going on. And people don't even have any idea. Because of the media.
And exactly right. It's the media, right? It's the 24-hour news cycle. They always have to find something, which we kind of deal with this on our own. It's we bring up Trump, views go up. We don't bring up Trump, or we bring out really important topics or topics that we think that people should know about, and the views go down. So the media plays the same game. It's, and they're after profits. They're trying to make the most amount of money. So they bring you controversy 24 hours. That's how they make their money. That's how they keep you glued to the TV. It's always something. Meanwhile, this past week, Finland just joined NATO, one of the most important things that has happened in I don't know how long. It's been a while since another country joined. So now we have 31 countries.
That's actually an issue that should be important to a lot of people. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. I mean, that'll affect every American before Donald Trump's indictment ever does. And like Chris said, the Saudis cutting or OPEC cutting the oil production. There's a million things going on in the world right now, and the only thing that the media can focus on is Trump, is this Trump indictment. There are a million things going on, and things that are more important to you or me in this country. So I'm the same way,
And that's
brother.
about
I
money.
do
It's
not want to sit here and make this show about Trump in and out or Trump hating or ganging up on him. It doesn't get us anywhere. We started this show so that we can uh, just try to focus on real topics, real things that will affect us. And at the end of the day, we're both Americans. We both have to live here, and we have to try to make it work. So Trump will not change how me or him go to work on Sunday, or how what's going to happen next week, or the oil prices, or how you're going to pay for food, things like that. So there are more important things happening, and the entire country is paying attention to this Trump thing. So you're absolutely correct about that.
so I'm done with all of it. The only thing I'm going to say is I hope everybody watched the video to the end here, because if we don't get our views up, then Josh and I are going to start talking about Bigfoot, UFOs, and aliens, and maybe a
Yeah,
video
man.
me
We're gonna have to
raking
start,
grass or something.
unclogging drains, or I don't. If you guys want me to twerk, we'll get it out there too.
Yeah,
But you guys don't want to see
if
that, so
what
it's
we're doing ain't working, then tell us. Start leaving some
yeah.
comments. I'll go out in a swimsuit and I'll rake leaves or cut a tree down or something. So
Yeah, for sure.
anyway,
But yeah, these
Josh,
are topics we believe every American should be aware of. And it's just kind of why we started the show. It's not everybody's cup of tea. We're well aware of this, but we think it's important, and we think that everybody should be having these conversations. So
and we
yeah,
just want America to be a good place for him, for his family, for me, my family. We don't care which side of the fence you're on. We're all Americans. We all got to live here. So let's just move on. Let's go on with our days and do the best we can, have meaningful conversation, all get along. And Josh and I will be back here next week, and we'll be doing the same thing.
yep. Hopefully about something else. So thank you guys
I
for joining
agree.
us again. Thank you guys for those that keep coming back week after week. We 100% appreciate you guys. Keep giving us those comments. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't yet. We hear all the time people asking us if we put out a new video. So yeah, help us out. We're a new channel. We are just starting to grow, and we'll see how we go from here.
And we,
But
and we
thank you guys for joining us.
And we love our country, both of us. He's a Democrat, I'm a Republican. We
Absolutely.
both love our country. So, and we want
Absolutely.
everyone to kind of find some common ground.
Yep.
So we'll see you all next
All
week.
right. So have a good night, guys.